We've all experienced a point in our lives where we feel the weight of our actions. A low point that causes us to look into the mirror and not like who we see. For whatever reasons, you realise that you're not living the life you had envisaged for yourself. Living in misalignment with your values and the aspirations you once had for yourself. Does that sound familiar at all? If you've had that moment, then this channel is for you. Welcome to Redemption Arc. My name is George, and before I get into anything, I just want to be really clear about something. I am not a self-help expert. I really don't claim to have it all figured out. I'm just someone who had their rock bottom moment and decided that they didn't want to stay there. A combination of bad habits, instant gratification, poor decision making, and repeatedly making the same mistakes and not learning from them led me to becoming broke, hurting a lot of people that I cared about, including myself. I was constantly making decisions that weren't aligned with the person I wanted to be, and I didn't like the person I was becoming. I wasn't addressing deep-rooted issues and toxic patterns that I had, and I was expecting different results without actually making the necessary changes, and that really is the definition of insanity. But in my darkest moment, this is where I came to the stark realization that no one is coming to save me. There is a quote from Stephen Bartlett that really resonates with me, and that is, "Change happens when the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change." And I think this is exactly why we witness the biggest transformations in rock bottom moments. And it makes sense because this is when the discomfort finally becomes unbearable. I met my moment, but I also knew that it didn't have to be permanent. It didn't have to be this way. And that was when it became the catalyst for action. So I'll face the same choice that every single person watching right now has either faced in the past or will likely face in the future. Perhaps you're even facing it right now. You can stay exactly where you are, guarantee that this feeling continues, and accept that this pain of staying the same is something you're going to have to live with. Or you could do the daunting, terrifying, courageous thing and decide that you don't want to feel this way anymore. You can make a promise to yourself that you're going to try, and I mean genuinely try, to make the positive changes to live a more intentional, meaningful, and happier life. And that second choice is what I call entering your redemption arc. A redemption arc in storytelling terms is a narrative process in which a character, often one that has been led astray, recognizes their mistakes and decides to go on a journey of self-discovery to change their behaviors and work to make amends for their actions, often through significant sacrifices, which ultimately leads to redemption. But here's the thing about real-life redemption arcs that we don't see in the movies. There is no dramatic ending. There is no moment where you've made it as such, and there definitely isn't this lead up to a climax where suddenly you've reached the perfect version of yourself. I'm a few years now into my redemption arc, and whilst I have come a long way, I'm living a lot more of a happier and more intentional life, I've still got a long way to go. And I've also learned some hard truths along the way. A redemption arc is a lifelong commitment. It never ends. It's a daily choice every single day. And for the most part, it's really not that exciting. It's actually really quite unattractive. It's non-linear, it's filled with difficult decisions, regressions, moments where you just completely lose focus and discipline, and it's got so many sacrifices that you have to make that no one's gonna notice or thank you for. But it is also the path towards you becoming the person you actually want to be. You aren't doing it for anyone else other than for yourself. Because the person who you want to be is the person who exists when no one is around. The decisions and actions you make when no one is looking. And you gain confidence and belief that you are that person when you have substantial evidence to suggest that you are who you say you are. And that comes with time and consistency through this redemption arc. And here's the thing that we've already addressed about these redemption arcs. They are a lifelong commitment. They never end. So to expect to be able to navigate through this redemption arc, this process for what really is our first time doing it, it's really naive to expect that we're going to be able to stay on track the entire way, maintain focus, and go in the right direction. There's no playbook to follow. I mean, redemption arcs are really very subjective to the kind of person that you want to be. And that would also suggest that there is some sort of end goal to strive for, but there really isn't. Honestly, in this process, we are learning about ourselves, about the world around us, and for as long as we are in alignment with ourselves and our values, that's when we start feeling more at peace. And that is where we start feeling the experience of and the feeling of happiness. Notice how I said the feeling of happiness, like it's a side effect almost of living within alignment, as opposed to, let's say, a steady state or an end state. Because here's the thing, happiness is a feeling, and feelings are not a steady state. You don't achieve happiness, you merely experience it for a period. And whilst you are in alignment, the chances of you experiencing and maintaining that feeling of happiness seems to occur a whole lot more often and more sustainably. And I think that is because you are feeling a lot more peace within yourself. Coming to terms with no end goal as well, I think allows you to stop obsessing over the future as well, as if you're not allowed to enjoy any of the moments until you've achieved said goal. And with no end goal, that allows you to just focus on the journey itself and enjoying the journey. And this leads me to another quote that I really love from Jimmy Carr, actually. It's his definition of the meaning of life, which is enjoying the passage of time. Happiness isn't at the end of the journey. The journey itself is where the happiness is. And I realize that now, but that doesn't mean that I don't lose focus of that. I lose sight of things like that all the time. And that's something that I do a lot more often than I'd like to. And I lose focus and sight of so many different areas within my life, but you don't always notice it because it may only be one sub area in your life compared to everything else that you're doing. So it kind of goes under the radar until results start showing up. Like you go for a run for the first time in a while and you notice your fitness level isn't quite where you thought it was. And that is very humbling, but it also allows you to step back and gives you a chance to refocus. And these setbacks and lack of focus, I've come to learn, are just part of the process. But what I found that helps me maintain focus more often is by being in an environment that not only encourages but enforces and reinforces that direction that I'm trying to head towards. Whether that is surrounding myself around similar people that have similar goals to me, or exposure to content and energy that is more aligned with the trajectory that I'm trying to head towards. And it seems logical that something like this reinforces that message that you're trying to convey to yourself every single day. What I realized I was missing though, and perhaps you're missing it as well, is something that you can come to. Whether that is a place for learning, maybe it's a place for finding resources for you to apply into your own life. Maybe it is something as simple as a support network, or maybe allows you to think critically within yourself and what you want. Or maybe you just need some help with accountability, or somewhere that you need for refocusing. Or maybe it's just something as simple as being able to connect with other people that are going through a similar process to what you are. Or simply just some good old-fashioned motivation for you to stay on course, or if you have strayed away, then encouraging you to get back on course. The thing with some self-help content, and this is really just an observation, not a criticism, it's coming from a place of kind of extremity or optimization. Picture self-improvement as some kind of spectrum, okay? So on one end, you've got someone who really isn't looking after themselves. They're really not living life in alignment in any way whatsoever. That is your pre-redemption arc. And then on the other side of the scale, you've also got something that is not desirable at all. It's all-consuming and obsessive, all in the name of self-development itself. If it doesn't improve you in any single way, or doesn't absolutely optimize you, then it's not worth your time. And this extremity becomes sort of like a masochist dream, right? It's where difficulty is the pursuit. It's where gratification is delayed permanently. And gratification is really important to be experienced. You only get one life and you deserve to, enjoy it. And this is where I feel like some of the self-development space, the self-help space and content sort of loses sight a little bit of the mission. I obviously can't speak for everyone, but I feel like the vast majority of us, me included, just want to be somewhere in between this spectrum of self-development. Intention and direction, but not obsession. You're not trying to be the happiest, you're not trying to be the fittest, you're not trying to be the best in the world, right? You're just trying to be happier, you're trying to be fitter, you're trying to be better. The other observation I've had within the self-development space and the self-development creators is that they're coming from a place of reflection. They're all sort of in this mature phase of their redemption arc, and now they're finding that they're getting a lot of meaning in the pursuit of trying to help and add value for other people by passing down the knowledge they've learned in their own journey, and allowing that to try and help bring other people up who are facing similar or somewhat relevant problems to what they face themselves. And these are really brilliant resources. I mean, the best person to ask if you wanted to do something effectively is the people who have done it, right? I consume the same content. I think the content is awesome. It really adds value into my life. I find it really benefits me, and it's really got me throughout my entire journey to where I am currently. But what I do find is there is a slight disconnect. The reason why I say that is because they're coming from a place of reflection, right? As opposed to experiencing it in the moment. They're talking about something that's already happened, that they've already overcome. So how about coming from a place of actively working through it in real time? We're all trying to navigate through this process together. We're all learning, we're all trying to adapt as we go along. To me, that seems a little bit more, I guess, relevant, perhaps a little bit more relatable. Now, I don't know about you, but I find the people that are extremely inspiring are people who are facing the challenges head on in the moment. They're in the mud right now, trying to overcome this challenge, the difficulty, and eventually watching them go through the process of overcoming the challenge. Slightly different to, for example, someone who's gone through a challenge and overcome it, and they're reflecting and talking about it afterwards. Now, both are very inspiring as such because they've both had to go through this challenge and they've both overcome it. But for some reason, watching or seeing someone experiencing the challenge in the moment, it just, that pursuit of trying to overcome this challenge, this battle to achieve or overcome this challenge, it just provides that feeling of, hey, if that person can do it, I can do it too. And that's the angle I'm trying to come at here. So by documenting my observations, my experiences, my thoughts, my findings, whatever you want to call it, in real time, you get to see someone who's on their redemption arc trying to figure it out as they're going along. So rather than like looking back from some sort of place of mastery, because that definitely is not what this is, it's more of a case of testing hypotheses and then discovering what happens from it, the realizations, the lessons that come from it. When something doesn't really work out, then I'll try and figure out why, try again and again and again, because iterations are important, and yeah, just really adjust as I'm going along. I want to discover something that works for me, then I'll delve into it, try and explore why that was the case, how I can replicate that in other areas of my life, and who knows, that might be a benefit to you and to apply into your own life as well. And when I'm working through challenges that I'm facing, whether that's with focus or discipline, for example, then I'll address it and try and navigate through it. Because the thing is, this is about progress through iteration, because improvement is made through experimentation, failure, adjustment, trying again, not perfection. What you absolutely won't see is a master at work. I am literally just a guy who is going to go work at this process one day at a time. This isn't about perfection at all. It's really just about trying to make progress every single day. And if you're not making progress, at least you're showing up with the attitude to try and make progress. What you can expect from me, however, is relevant content on the challenges and the positives that I'm experiencing in real time, the successes and the setbacks. The hope is that this will allow me to help navigate through my own redemption arc. And if I can at all add any value at all to anyone else's and help them navigate through their redemption arc, then that is an absolute honor. Because to be honest with you, this is the type of content I wished was available when I first started. And to be honest with you, the reason I'm doing it now is because I still think that I would actually consume this kind of content. I still think there could be some sort of benefit from this. So whether you're at rock bottom or whether you're years into your redemption arc or even somewhere in between, you are welcome here. And if you think this channel might be of benefit to you, then all I can do is invite you to subscribe. Welcome to your redemption arc, and I look forward to documenting this journey with you.